Hello everyone, Bertrand Maimo here. Today we'll be answering some very pertinent questions as you get on your business journey. One of those ones is, what is a business? When most people think of a business, they imagine an office, right? A store, a brand, a name, a product, or a service. Yeah, but at its core, a business is a system that facilitates the execution of a contract between a buyer and the seller. A contract is a legally binding agreement that allows for an exchange of value between the two parties. There has to be value. The seller makes a value proposition, right, through an offer of a good or a service. Now, note this. If your value proposition or your offer is not clear, you will struggle finding the right buyers. Think of Walmart. Walmart rocks with that everyday low price on anything you need. Literally your neighborhood needs store. Ask yourself this: how many times do you wait for a commercial before you go to Walmart? That's never or rare, right? So make your value proposition clear and strong, and you'd be the go-to with respect to your customers. Then the buyer, on the other hand, is the one that has the purchasing power. That's very important to identify. The purchasing power, the power to accept the offer. If you dress shabby and walk into a luxury store, chances are nobody's going to approach you. They might assume you're window shopping, right? They're going to save energy on a conversation that will not result in a business transaction. If you go and you clean up and you bring your Gucci or aura to your step, right, and you come back to that same store, you will see that as soon as you register eye contact, people will gravitate to you because they look at you and you seem like one with purchasing power. If you don't look like you have purchasing power, they're not going to bother. The principle is simple: eliminate premature judgment, yes, but do not waste time trying to sell where there is no purchasing power. And once you understand the relationship between the buyer and the seller, you're ready for business. Everything else about your business becomes clearer. The ecosystems that you build, your marketing, your operations, your accounting, your IT, your HR, customer service, they all exist to support that one exchange. So when you're starting out, don't just think, oh, I want to make more money. I want to make money. Think, I want to solve a problem, and ensure that you have identified a solid market that is ready to purchase your solution. Because success follows a solid value proposition. And wealth is not just a byproduct of chance, it's a byproduct of diligent execution. Okay? So let's answer another question that's important. How is a business built and structured? Now, different organizations claim different structures, but the most common is a pyramid structure. It doesn't matter how flat or circular an organization claims to be, at the very back of its core is a pyramid. And you hear pyramid and you're thinking to yourself, oh, is it a scam? Most businesses are a pyramid structure. And it's for a reason. At the base of that pyramid, you notice it is wide. And that's where the work gets done. These are your rowers. These are the people who keep things moving. As you move up the layers of your pyramid, you have now fewer people steering. At the very top of the pyramid, you've got your CEO, your founder, and they sit at the pointed tip. Their job is to set the vision, to steer, provide direction, and make sure everyone is aligned. Now, here's the catch. The strength of the pyramid isn't at the top, it is at the bottom. It's at the base. If the foundation isn't strong, the whole structure collapses. So the goal in building a healthy business is to empower the base, the people doing the work, with clear systems, with a clear vision, with clear support, with clear accountability. When you make the mistake of having too many steerers, more people directing than working, you have too much confusion. Conflict, because everyone wants to be in charge. Everybody is in charge, right? Decisions are not made efficiently. The fewer the steerers, the more effective your rowers become. The faster and more efficiently your business moves are executed. That's how great organizations grow, with balance, structure, and strength from ground up. Now, here's another important question that you need to be able to answer. How many levels of operation are ideal within my business? Every mature business seeks to operate on three levels. Level one, you have the staff. They have the technical aptitude to get things done. They execute the tasks and they keep the daily operations moving. Level two is middle management, Right? These are now your tacticians. They translate strategy into action. They are the ones that are supervising the technician, second set of eyes. They manage teams. They measure performance. They are making sure that the work connects and fits and agrees to the bigger picture. Strong middle managers, remember this, must make use of inadequate resources to generate the best results possible. When middle managers start to focus on their personal careers, instead of using efficiency to improve processes, they turn staff into tools. This creates a toxic work environment. And level three, you've got senior leadership. These are like the electricians. They're responsible for keeping the lights on in the business, literally. And that happens through their vision, their direction, their long-term planning. You see, when long-term leadership works well, the focus is on growth, on strategy, and resource allocation, and that energizes the business. When senior leadership does not work well, they electrocute operations with unrealistic expectations. They start micromanaging, and the business becomes a ticking time bomb. Now, here's why all three levels are very important. If the staff, the technicians, the doers are disconnected from middle management, execution suffers. If leadership ignores middle management, strategy never reaches the front lines. A thriving business is like an orchestra. Every level plays its part in tune and on time. The CEO isn't more important than the customer service rep, who is not more important than your accounting rep and all the other wings. They just all play a different instrument. You see, when all three levels are aligned, the music of the business flows beautifully. And when that music sounds good, the customer cannot resist the temptation to push play. So if you're running an enterprise, what are the different areas that you need to be familiar with? What are some of these major areas that you would have to manage? First, we have leadership and strategy. If you're the founder, you have to manage yourself. That's your executive function. Because you're the brain of the business, right? Then next, you've got marketing and sales. Marketing and sales, that's the heartbeat. Marketing creates an awareness of your good or service. It brings attraction, and sales converts that attraction into revenues. Sales closes the deal. Then operations and delivery. This is where the promises that you're making in your sales pitch are fulfilled if you get the contract. Right? This is where you deliver your best consistently. Then you've got finance and accounting, the group no one wants to talk about. These are the scorekeepers. This is your accountability engine. They track what's coming in, what's going out, and they report on the results of the operation to hold everyone accountable and to provide information that helps with decision making. Then you've got human resources, HR, and they handle the people side of the business. They set the tone for culture and culture compliance. They've got legal and your compliance environment. Now, your legal and compliance, they ensure the business stays within the boundaries of law and industry standards. Legal and compliance are closely related, but they're not the same thing. Legal focuses on establishing the laws within which your business and your contracts will operate. Meanwhile, compliance focuses on ensuring that your business performs its function within regulatory guidelines. And finally, you've got technology and IT. There are many others, but let's, end here. Technology and IT, that's the nervous system that connects everything to everything. They are the closest to accountants because the language that they speak is just a world of its own. But the IT infrastructure in your business is extremely important because without that ecosystem, your business ends on paper. A well-structured business will integrate these areas like organs in the body. Each organ supports the others, all working towards one mission, delivering value and sustaining growth. So now that you're overwhelmed with this information, the big question is, how do you start building a business from ground zero by yourself? It's overwhelming. Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. How do you start? You start with just one idea. You start small, you start smart, and you move strategically. You don't need a team of 20 people. What you need first is clarity. Step one, you start by defining the problem you're going to solve and for whom you're going to solve it, making sure that that person can pay for your solution. Then step two, you test the idea, one product, one offer, one audience. Step three, use that contract to provide education and information, right, on how to build systems that will support multiple of that same contract. Step four, bring fractional experts, professionals who can help you identify review and implement the systems that you need. Then step 5, scale. Scale by doing more of the same thing, and then diversify by exploring the low-hanging fruit. This approach keeps your overhead low and your flexibility high, while you're tapping into the brightest minds to make the best decisions for your business. Remember, the goal isn't to build a huge enterprise overnight. It's to build a real business, one that can stand on its own. Over time, systems will replace the stress of manual work. Every great business started with one person, one idea, one decision. So if that's you today, congratulations, you're already on your way. You just have to build forward. And in building forward, you're going to need some help. Email me at bmimo@mustardbridge.com and let's book an appointment so we can answer your questions. Leverage my expertise and save thousands of dollars on experimenting on systems that are proven to fail. Bertrand K. Maimo, I'll see you at the top.